Alternative Radio.
You are listening to Texas History Lessons, a slow walk through Texas history made in Texas by a Texan for everyone everywhere.
Welcome to Texas History Lessons. I'm Michael, and with this episode we reach the end of the year and the end of this month in Texas history, at least for a while. When I added the This Month in Texas History episodes to the podcast schedule, I didn't realize how time-consuming they would be. With that being said, I do not regret doing them, and I might still occasionally do an episode similar to them from time to time, but without the time constraints and the deadline, and probably not so many different dates involved. We'll see in the future. Now, these episodes have been a lot of fun to do, and I'm also glad to have done them because by using the monthly premise, I've learned a lot that will prepare me for future lessons episodes. It has also helped me gain a better grasp on the flow of Texas history by taking and finding connections between events that stretch from the 1500s and 1600s to the 1800s and 1900s. They've also taught me a lot of things and opened up my understanding in several areas of Texas history that I was lacking. That result, that gaining of knowledge, is why I do the podcast in the first place. And sharing what I learn with all of you people is a happy byproduct. I hope they were of interest to you. So with this episode, we're going to once again time travel back and visit many significant events that have happened in Texas history during the month of December. Then we're going to close out the episode by expressing my gratitude to several really great people. And I might be doing a year in review episode in the near future with a variety of recommendations from all kinds of things like movies, music, historical fiction, and history books. We'll just have to wait and see if that pans out. First up, we have on December 9th, 1716, the Viceroy of New Spain appointed Martin de Alarcon to be commander of Presidio San Francisco de Coahuila and as governor of the province of Texas. Now, Alarcon was an interesting person, having started his career of service to Spain as a sailor before being sent to New Spain. He was also a knight of the Order of Santiago, a military order that had its origins in the Reconquista of Spain in the Middle Ages, and in the person of Martin de Alarcon, the order continued to serve in the conquest of New Spain's northern frontier. After decades of service, Alarcon found himself between 1705 and 1708 serving his first time as the governor of Coahuila y Tejas. The second time he was appointed as governor of Coahuila y Tejas was a very important moment in Texas's development. New Spain was attempting again to establish missions in East Texas, or what we consider East Texas. But the closest source of supply for these efforts was 400 miles away. So it was under the leadership of Martin de Alarcon, who founded San Antonio de Bexar Presidio, and Father Antonio San Buenaventura y Olivares, who we've talked about before, who founded San Antonio de Valero Mission, that together they created the foundation for modern-day San Antonio in 1718 at an important settlement center for some bands of the Coahuiltecan peoples. And Alarcon's term as governor of Texas ended in the fall of 1719. Now, from all the sources I've been able to check so far, I can't find a date of birth or death for Alarcon. However, we do know that a certain Juan de Uvalde was born in Spain 10 years after Alarcon's governorship came to an end, on December 9th, 1729, Like Alarcon, Uvalde spent his life in the service to Spain and New Spain. He fought the Austrians in Italy and the Moors in Africa, and then faced off with the Portuguese in the 7 Years' War. He became the governor of San Francisco de Coahuila in 1776, while the United States was in its early years of revolution. And he became known as a pretty successful fighter against the Apaches in the Rio Grande area. 10 years later, he became the commander of arms of the Provincias Internas, and this was an area that included Coahuila, Nuevo Leon, Nuevo Santander, and Texas. Folks familiar with Uvalde and Uvalde County might find it interesting to note that the city and county are named in a way after Uvalde. In 1790, he defeated a force of 300 Lipan and Mescalero Apaches at Arroyo de la Soledad, which is also known as the Sabinal River Canyon. The site of the fight became known as Cañon de Uvalde, and Uvalde transformed over time into Uvalde in that fun way that Texans change names and sounds and pronunciations of different words. Unlike many who devoted their lives to serving in the military or as administrators in New Spain, Uvalde did get to return to Spain, where he died at the age of 87 in 1816, just a few years before Stephen F. Austin began his venture as an impresario. Now let's go ahead and take a quick break, and we're going to change things up a little bit. We're going to play a song by Mondo Salas called All We Got, and then we're going to thank Age of Radio for hosting Texas History Lessons, and we'll be right back.
Darling, all this struggling in the rain, couple cents to my name. Lord, as it brings us here, sing for no other hell. Give 'em all we got. Give 'em all we got. Well, she said, come on home tonight. Got a little booze and a little fire. Say what you want, what you need. Don't you show me no greed. Give 'em all we got. Give 'em all we got.
Okay, like I said, that was the great Mondo Salas with his band Rosmand. He is Texas History Lesson Spotlight artist, and we'll be talking a little bit more about that in the future, near the end of the episode. But let's get back into some events that occurred this month in Texas history for December. Now, another Texas governor was also born in December. He went by the name of Juan Martín de Veramendi. He was born in San Fernando de Bexar, modern San Antonio, on December 17th, 1778. When Stephen F. Austin was traveling to Texas in 1821, it was Veramendi and Juan Seguin who met him in Natchitoches, Louisiana, and accompanied the hopeful impresario to Bexar. Veramendi occupied several important governmental positions over the years, including alcalde, or mayor, of Bexar in 1824 and 1825. He then went on to be elected the vice governor of Coahuila in Texas in 1830. Now enters the scene of another Texas legend, the famous or infamous James Bowie, who was a recent arrival to Texas after several close calls with fraudulent land deals in Arkansas and Louisiana. Now, I learned this from reading a book earlier this year. Had he been able to pull off these land schemes of his, he would have likely have become the wealthiest man in the United States. Instead, he had to try to find his fortune elsewhere in Texas. And while in Texas, he met and married Juan Martín de Veramendi's daughter, Ursula Maria de Veramendi, in 1831. Juan became the governor of Coahuila y Tejas in 1832. And did I mention that Veramendi was quite well off and that Bowie received assistance from his father-in-law while hatching new schemes for riches in Texas? Unfortunately, Bowie's new marriage to Ursula and his new financial relationship with Juan were not to last long. Juan, his wife Josefa, and daughter, Ursula Bowie, died during the cholera epidemic of September 1833. Bowie would later participate in turning Veramendi's birthplace, San Antonio, into a battleground, not once but twice. He won the first one, and as we all know, lost the second at what is remembered as the Battle of the Alamo, not quite 3 years after losing his wife. And just as a side note, that knife associated with Bowie, you know the one, the Bowie knife? Well, the world's largest Bowie knife can be seen on the east side of Bowie, Texas, near the rodeo arena. Near a park, also, in Monte County, Texas. Also, from what I've been able to gather, Bowie apparently had nothing to do with the creation of the knife. It was designed by his brother Rezin. As far as I've seen, there are no records of Bowie ever fighting with that particular style of knife. It was made for his brother after a knife fight in which Bowie did almost die. And from what I understand, he was never seen without this knife in the future. He stayed prepared. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying we have no proof that I've seen aside from a lot of tales. Speaking of the Texas Revolution, it was December 20th, 1835 that people of the community of Goliad in South Texas ratified Ira Ingram's Goliad Declaration of Independence. 91 eager supporters signed it, including Philip Dimmitt, Jose Miguel Aldrete, and Jose Maria Jesus Carbajal. It was printed and circulated widely, but the action appears to have been a little bit premature. When received by the General Council that was meeting at San Felipe de Austin, they did not immediately endorse it, because they were still trying to figure out what they were doing. They were trying to decide if they wanted complete independence or if they wanted to remain a part of Mexico but as a separate and independent state from Coahuila. As we've seen over the earlier episodes of This Month in Texas History, once they did make a decision, Santa Anna was ready to crush the rebels like his mentor, Arredondo, had several years before at the Battle of Medina in 1813. Things did not go as planned for Santa Anna, and the Republic of Texas was born. Now, you would have expected that Stephen F. Austin might have played a very significant role in the Republic of Texas. I mean, after all, he was very responsible for the bringing of Anglo-Americans into Texas and had a significant role in the development and relationship and interactions with the Mexican government from 1821 on. But sadly, for Austin and the state of Texas, at the age of 43, Stephen F. Austin died of pneumonia on December 27, 1836, at Columbus, Texas, having recently lost the election for the first presidency of Texas to Sam Houston. Now, Austin's importance to the development of Texas cannot be overstated. By the time of his death, he had settled over 1,500 families while also playing a significant role in creating the foundation of what would someday become the Republic and then the state of Texas. Friends quickly printed an announcement to be distributed through the countryside. It read, in bold letters at the top, "The Patriarch has left us. We perform a most painful duty in announcing the death of General Stephen F. Austin, who departed this life yesterday at 12:30 p.m. at the house of Judge McKinney. His friends and relations have sustained an irreparable loss. His country just merging into existence. The best and tenderest of fathers, the sons and daughters of Texas have now full cause for mourning, with one solitary consolation, that they will meet the just man above. Not even dead for a day, and Austin was already being acknowledged as the father of Anglo-Texas." December 10th, 1838 marks the date that Mirabeau Buonaparte Lamar was inaugurated as the second president of the Republic of Texas. Ever the showboat, Sam Houston gave a 3-hour farewell address. Lamar had his secretary, Algernon P. Thompson, read his inaugural remarks rather than follow up behind Houston's big display. Lamar is one of those controversial figures that I have a lot to say about, not all of it being good. But let's save that for another day as we learn more together and progress through the lessons. Heck, I might even learn to think he was okay. I will say something positive about the little poet President Mirabeau Buonaparte Lamar. He did play a significant part in the establishment of an educational system and rightly believed that education was an important factor in the future success of Texas. So thanks to the father of Texas education for his efforts on that front.